This is Gemara in Shavuos, Daf Yud Dalid, and we're holding on. Yud Gimel Amid Beis, we're about 10 lines from the wide lines. The first word on line is De'asa. And before we continue, we like to dedicate today's share to the incredible Schos Refuah Shalema for Tinaik ben Miriam Ahuva B'Soich Sha'ar Chayle Yisrael. So says the Gemara, Mantana Lahad Tana Rabbanan. We just finished discussing the Machlekes of Yehuda of Shimon, and now asks the Gemara, who is the Tana of the following Brisa? Says the Brisa of Shachar Asir Chatas Asher La'am. The pasuk says regarding the Chatas B'Finim, he should shech the Yisir Chatas Asher La'am for the people. Says the Brisa Sheina Kohen Mischaprim by this carbon, the fact that it says Asher La'am shows that the Kohanim do not get a kapara. Ubima miskaprim. With what do the Kohanim yes get a kapara? Be'para shalaroin. They get a kapara through the par of Aroin, Akoyin. The Kohen Gadol's par, the Kohen Gadol's chatas. Maybe perhaps the Kohanim do not get a kapara with that carbon. Why not? The pasuk already says Asher Loi, that Aaron HaKohen brings the par that is Loi, that is his, seemingly not the other Kohanim. Me'ata in lem kapara. But then it would come out the Kohanim don't get any kapara. Kshoimer, the pasuk is chaper al Kohanim. When the pasuk says should be a kapara for the Kohanim, matzinu lahen kaparos. We see they get kapara. And b'mahen mislaprim with what? Explains the Brisa. Mutav sheyischapur b'para shalaron. It's better. We prefer that the par, the bull of Aaron HaKohen, is that which is given kapara. Shaharei, for what reason? Hutar miklaloi, because it's already hutar mechlalo. It goes out of the general rule. Eitzel beisai, with regard to the fact that it also works for the Kohen Gadol's house. Va'al yischabru b'sayer, and it's better to say that the par of the Kohen Gadol is that which gives the kapara, and not v'sayer anas b'fnim. Why not? Sheloinu hutar mechlalo. Eitzel beisai. It does not go out of the general rules with regard to the Kohen Gadol's household. So now it says the Gemara, and if you want to say, like we just said above, but what about the pasuk that says, Beis Aharon, Baruch Hu es Hashem, Beis Alevi, Baruch Hu es Hashem, Yirei Hashem, Baruch Hu es Hashem, end of Brisa. So we have another makar for the power of the Kohen Gadol being mechaper for the other Kohanim. Says the Gemara, Man Tana. So who is the Tana of this Brisa? And in particular, we're trying to figure out who is the Tana that holds, if not for the power of Aaron, there would be no kapara. Amar Rav Yirmiyah, Deloik Rav Yehuda. It's not Rav Yehuda. Why? The Rav Yehuda, Amar Kohanim Yishem Kapara, because according to Rav Yehuda, the Kohanim do have a kapara, B'Seir Mishtaleach, the Seir La Zazel. So says the Gemara, if it's not Rav Yehuda Amani, who could it be? So Rav Amar, Rav Shimoni, Amar Kohanim in the Kapara, B'Seir Mishtaleach. So says Rav, this is Shitas Rav Shimon, as we've learned, that the Kohanim do not get a kapara to Seir Mishtaleach, and rather we're saying that they're getting the kapara through the power of the Kohen Gadol. And if not for the power of the Kohen Gadol, there would be no kapara. That's the teretz of Rav. Abaya Amar says Abaya, no. 3 lines to the bottom of Yiludema Rav Yehuda. Hachik Amar. And this is what the Brisa means. That may ato in lem kapara betumas mikdash v'kadashaf. That there's no kapara. If not for the power of the Kohen Gadol, there's no kapara of tumas mikdash v'kadashaf. Meaning, it's true. This Irla Azazel would yes give kapara for the Kohanim, but not for the Tumas Mikdash Ukadasha. Meaning, what Rava Abaya, is saying, that we have to narrow in within the Brisa. That doesn't mean there's no kapara bichlal. It means that yes, this Ira at Mishtaleach would yes give the Kohanim kapara, but not for Tumas Mikdash v'Kedashav. Ksha'imer Yechabal al-Kohanim, and when the pasuk says should be a kapara for the Kohanim, Motzinu sheyesh them kapara b'shar aveiros. We see that they do get a kapara b'shar aveiros. K'moistrim zinu sheyesh them kapara b'shar aveiros. And once we're going to see that, kach yesh them kapara. Similarly, on the top of Yudalam and Abatamas Mikdash, Vikadashav, it says the Gemara, and how is this going to work? B'ema hey miskaprin, considering the terrace of Abaya, with what are they going to get this kapara? Mutav sheis chabaru parashalara, and this Abaya retranslating the Braisa. Why is it better to get a kapara with the power of Aaron shoot the mechlalo when have the rules it's a beisai? Vayis chabaru ziyar mishaseh b'fnim shari lo yuj mechlaloi. And if you're going to tell me, Beis Aaron Baruch Hu Hashem is Baruch Hu Hashem, Beis Yisrael Baruch Hu Hashem. So says Abaye, indeed we could interpret the Brisa even according to Rabbi Yehuda. So says the Gemara, what exactly does this mean at the end of the Brisa? And if you want, you could say, what's the question? Meaning, we just explained either Abaye or Rava that we can send the Brisa according to Rabbi Yehuda and Rav Shimon. But the end of the Brisa said, so says the Gemara, you know what it meant? Maybe you would question that Beis Siv, and what? That therefore it should only be the house of the Kohen Gadol. Answers the Gemara, Kuli Kurim Beisai, that all the Kehanim are called Beisai, the house of the Kohen. How do we know that? That's what we're proving from the pasuk at the end of the Brisa. Shnemer Beis Aaron Baruch Hu Hashem, Yireh Hashem Baruch Hu Hashem, and that's what the end of the Brisa comes to teach us. So says the Gemara. Let's go a little bit back into the drasha. He's figuring out what is going on at the Avodah of Yom Kippur. We just said that Asher La'am comes to teach us that there's no kapara for the seir achatos bifnim. But ask the Gemara, we need it for something else. The Gemara Achmana says the pasuk mid'am. The pasuk says mid'am that it has to come mid'am la'ave. It's teaching us a drasha that the money has to come from the from the people. So we see this pasuk is needed for elsewhere. At lahave answers the Gemara, who maybe Tumas adas b'nei Yisrael nafka. Ay v'asher loy lachi udasa. Asher loy, you're telling me it's only for loy and no one else. We need it for this. Lachi udasa mibayle lichletanya mishal loy who maybe v'eno maybe mishal tzibur. Does not come mishal tzibur. Yachal, I would think. Lo yavi mishal tzibur, sheinat tzibur mischaper, lo, they don't get a kapara. Avo yavi mishal lachiv, akoyanim, shachlo kanim mischaper boi. They do get a kapara. Tamaloi mar asher loi. Says the pasuk that is his. Yachal, I would think lo yavi vim hevi bas vim hevi, and if they do bring it kosher, tamaloi no. Shov asher loi. Hakasav Shana Alav La'akev to teach us that it holds back. So says the Gemara, we see that the Asher Lai is needed for this other drasha. How can the Brisa say we need it elsewhere? Answers the Gemara, I'll explain to you how it's possible. Tana Achika Kashale. The Tana had the following kasha to Asher Lai. My Shana B'da'am D'loi Mechaper. What's the reason that of the people non-kayanim, there's no kapara? For what reason? Because the people are not losing any money. They don't spend any money towards this carbon. But says the kasha the Bryce is addressing, but the Parashal Aaron as well, the Ghanim are not losing anything. So maybe they should not get a kapara. The Ka'amar Kulin Karan Beisai. And that's what the Bryce explains. They're all called Beisal, so yes, get a kapara. And as we wrap up this parak, the Gemara concludes with a kasha of the kapara of the Seir Mishtaleach, the Seir La'azazel, the Machlekes of Yud and Rav Shimon. Says the Gemara, Bishlam Rav Shimon, I need to save Trey Viduyin. The two times that Viduy is done, Vidam Apar. Trei viduyim, excuse me. Vidam habar and the dam habar. So there's 3 different times there's a kabara. Chad keneged sir nasa bifnim, b'chad keneged sir nasa b'chutz, chad keneged sir mishalech. El Rav Yehuda trevi duyim and dam habar lamali. What does Rav Yehuda need it for? B'chad vidoy udama isagya. It should be only 1 vidoy and 1 dam. Answers the echaloi v'echaloi beisai. Answers the Gemara. No, we need 1 for him and 1 for his house. Kedatan v'eri Shmael. Kachi midas adin noyages. Mutav yava izaka v'chaber lachayev. V'al yava chayev v'chaber al ha-chayev. So explains the Gemara that according to Rav Yehuda, that said that the seer and mishlaleach l'seer la'azazel is yesek apora for the kayanim. So why do we need 2 different viduyim and 1 dam habar? It should be enough with 1. Explains the Gemara, I'll tell you why you need 2 separate viduyim. We need 2 separate viduyim because echad loi, ve'echad lebeisai, 1 for the Kohen Gadol himself, and 1 for beisai, as we're learning in Tanit V'Yishmael, that what we rather mutav yav zakir v'chaber lachayev, and not v'chayev v'chaber lachayev. And what does that mean in English? Explains Rashi. The Kohen Gadol first gets kapara for himself and his family, and only after he's free of sin, only after he received his kapara, then the Kohen Gadol could get a kapara for all the other Kohanim. Hadron aloch Shavuos shtayim, and we dive head first, into the next parak, the second parak. Says the Mishnah, mimicking the Mishnah back from Daf Beis. Words are not working. Yediyah is atoma shtayim shein arba. What is this shtayim shein arba? Nitzma, he became tamei, v'yada, and he knows about it. V'nelma mimenu atoma, and then he forgot about it. He forgot he was tamei. V'zocher es hakodesh, and he knows that something is kadosh, is holy. Nelam, that's case nelam. That's case 1. Nelam mimenu hakodesh. If you forgot the item was holy, v'zocher, some you knew he was tamei. Case 2. Nelam mimenu zeh, he forgot both. V'achel es hakodesh. V'lo yada. And we shall achel, and once he ate it, yada. So in these 4 cases, again, in the last case being Mishayachal, he knew about it after he ate it. In all these cases, this unique carbon that we learned back in Daf Beis, a varying level depending on the level of wealth, whether it's an animal, all the way down to bringing mere flour. Continues the Mishnah. Nit maviyada v'nelma. He knew he was tamei, and only afterwards he forgot. Mimenu toma v'zachar zamigdash. But he knew that he's about to go into the Beis Hamikdash. V'nelmu, or v'nelmu mimenu mikdash zachar es atoma. Nel mimenu zev nechol zamigdash v'lo yada. Mishayati yada rezev oilev yared. Case number 2. So says the Gemara, Echa nechlas lazar, if one enters into the Beis Hamikdash. Echa nechlas l'toisefes lazar, or one enters into the additions to the Beis Hamikdash. She'ein ma'isivin al'ir, v'alazaras el b'melech v'navi v'urim v'tumim. The only way to add on to a city is the melech v'navi v'urim v'tumim. It's the hedrin shel shivim v'echad, v'shtei Toides Ubishir Ubezdin Mahalchin Ushtei Toides Achreim Uchol Yisrael Achreim. That's how you would be able to add on to a city. We turn over to Yudalad Amid Beis, and of course that's going to be what has the extra kedusha of the Beis Hamikdash, aside from the Beis Hamikdash itself, but as well the Teisefes Le'azara. We turn over to Yudalad Amid Beis. Says the Daf, quoting still a Mishnah, the next part of the Mishnah. Habanimi is ne'acheles v'achitzayin nisros. The inner one is eaten, the outer one is burnt. Chol shel naseh, and any that was not made naseh b'cholelu and nichlas l'sham ein chayev alav. You will not be chayev for entering into such an area. Next case, nitzvah b'azara. Someone keeps tummy in the azara, but he knows he's tamei v'nal mimenu tama, and he forgot the tama. V'zachar zamigdash nal mimenu migdash v'zachar zatama, or nal mimenu zamizev ishtachava. Oy shesha v'chlei ishtachava. He waited for the amount of time to bow down. Oy pala aruka. Or what happened was he entered in by the long way. Chayev b'ksara. You're going to be potter. Zui mitzvah sasei shavimigdash. Continues the Mishnah, this is the positive commandment with regard to the Beis HaMikdash. She'ein chayavin aleh, v'ezi mitzvah say she'ben nida, she'chayim aleh. What's the case of nida? Hayimeshami she'matayir, someone is sleeping together with a woman who's tar, v'amra lahi. And in the middle of them sleeping together, she says, Nitmeisi, I've become tamei, upireish. And he comes down, miyad immediately chayiv. What's the reason? He stopped right away. Says the Gemara, you have to be aware, shayitzi asai, the removal of the aver from the woman is anah, like asai, has the same pleasure as putting himself in, and therefore, because there is the pleasure, therefore it's called the ma'isa bia, and he's chayiv on the yitziyah. Rav Eliezer Omer, Asharetz v'nel mimenu alelem, v'nel mimenu, he forgot. Alelem sharetz chayiv, v'ino chayiv alelem mikdash. Rav Akiva Omer, v'nel mimenu says the basik, v'toma alelem toma chayiv, v'in chayiv alelem mikdash. Rav Yishmael Omer, v'nelem shtei ba'amim, l'chayiv, alelem toma, v'alelem mikdash. And now, in classical sense, the Gemara is going to go bit by bit, clarifying exactly all the cases, all the dinim in the Mishnah. Says the Gemara, Omar Rav Papa, L'Abayo Shtayim. Says Rav Papa, Omar Rav Papa L'Abayo, excuse me. Shtayim Shein Arba, Shtayim Shein Sheishavan. But really, it's two which are six. What are the six? Yediyas ha'atoma tchila v'soif. Yediyas ha'kodesh tchila v'soif. Yediyas mikdash tchila v'soif. And those three, each one is tchila v'soif. So you have six. Says Marweilu tamich tamaniyav. Really, it is 8. Why? Ta'ika toma de kodesh v'toma de mikdash and tchila v'soif. So it should be 8. Says no, Allah kasha. Shame tomachasi. But with Shverish is Avon Amar Pablo Ilam Tamani Avon Arba Kamaisa to a Maisin Alade Carbon like a Chashiv. The 4 that don't bring to carbon you don't list. Arba Basaisa Bisin like Carbon Chashiv. Pshat number 1 of the Gemara. Vikadi Amri says the Gemara Amar Pablo Ilam Tamani Avon it's 8. Arba Kamaisa the Lisnayu Bacholatar Kula Chashiv. Arba Basraya the Snayu Bacholatar Kula applies everywhere else like Chashiv. So now that we figured out what were the Shtayim Shein Arba in the Mishnah, Bai Rav Papa. Rav Papa is a Shaila, 2 lines to the white lines. Zelmu Menu Halachis Tumamau. What if he forgot the Halachis? Says Marhechidami, what's the case? Ilim Yadi Sharet Tamei Sfar Deyatam. You don't know what is Tamei. So Zalkari Bei Rav, go ask someone. Who? La'ilam Diyad B'Tamei Sharet. We're going to Naga B'Chadasha. The case is, says the Gemara, you touched a piece of shared sides of a lentil. You did not know whether a piece of a level is metame or not. You know the concept that a sharet is metame. It's called knowing. It's called not knowing. Says the Gemara, we're going to have to wait for Mashiach. We'll pick it up from here. B'siyata dishmaya.